Hello and welcome back to Shakesyear. We are working on Richard III, and today we get to hear from Buckingham in Act 3, Scene 1. So Act 3, Scene 1, remember, we had young Prince Edward, who is next in line to become king, so they're working out all of his coronation details. He has been brought to London by Richard and Buckingham. During transit, Richard and Buckingham arrested all of the other people, like Rivers and Grey and Vaughan, who were transporting the young prince because they wanted to and because they are family to the Queen. And Richard has been trying to poison everybody against the Queen and say that it's her fault that Clarence died and all that sort of fun stuff. So we started out the scene with them welcoming young Edward to London, and he's like, where's the rest of my uncles? And also, where's my mom? And where's my brother? And all this sort of thing. Mom and brother had gone to seek sanctuary because now once their family had gotten arrested by Richard, they're also afraid of Richard now too. So there was this whole thing yesterday about going to get the Duke of York, who is also named Richard. He's the younger brother of Edward, who is about to become the king, because they all name each other the same things over and over again. They are going to go get him from sanctuary and bring him here so that he can greet his brother Edward, that kind of thing. So the cardinal and Hastings have gone to get York. And while he's gone, Richard suggests that Edward spend the time between now and his coronation living in the Tower, because that's a good place to be. And Edward's like, yeah, sure, sounds fine. And then the Duke of York and Hastings and other people come back into the room. Sorry, there's so many of them, and they all have the same names. They all come back into the room, and they're like, hey, brother, how you doing? I'm doing good, brother. How are you? How you doing, uncle? I'm doing good. How are you? All of that sort of back and forth. And then the Duke of York and the Duke of Gloucester, who are both named Richard. Richard III is the Duke of Gloucester. Gloucester. I'm talking weird today. They share a couple little jibes back and forth at each other in this whole thing about give me your dagger. Why would I give you my dagger? Because, why would I give you my dagger, little man? So I can thank you the way that you give it to me. How's that, little? And blah, blah, blah. So there's this back and forth wordplay stuff going on until the Duke of York makes a crack about Richard's physicality, at which point they're like, that's going just a little too far. And they suggest that the boys go hang out in the Tower until coronation time. And the Duke of York is like, yeah, but there's got to be a bajillion ghosts in there. And everybody else is like, yeah, it's no worries. And there is a crack about being more afraid of the ghosts of uncles dead than being afraid of uncles still alive. And, oh, I hope we don't need to be afraid of uncles still alive, kind of thing. But anyway, they then leave. And the only people that are left now are Catesby, Buckingham, and Richard. We know who Richard is. Buckingham is a very close ally of his. Catesby is also a very close ally of his. And they're like, wow, those kids were kind of mouthy, weren't they? And they're like, yep. And then changing topics, do we think that Hastings would join us in our plot to make this Richard, Duke of Gloucester, King of England? And Catesby's like, no, I don't really think so, but we can ask. They're like, well, what about Lord Stanley? And Catesby's like, Stanley's going to do whatever Hastings does. So Buckingham says, well then, no more but this. Go, gentle Catesby, and, as it were far off, sound thou Lord Hastings, how he doth stand affected to our purpose, and summon him tomorrow to the Tower to sit about the coronation. If thou dost find him tractable to us, encourage him, and tell him all our reasons. If he be leaden, icy, cold, unwilling, be thou so too, and so break off the talk. And give us notice of his inclination, for we tomorrow hold divided councils, wherein thyself shalt highly be employed. So they're sending Catesby to feel out Hastings and see if they can get Hastings on their side, is basically all it is. And Hastings is going to come and chat with them tomorrow about the coronation. Yeah, that's really all that is. And Catesby's like, okay, cool. I'll have more information for you by later today. And he leaves. And then Buckingham turns to Richard and says, so if Hastings doesn't join us, then what? And Richard's like, we chop off his head. Obs. And that's basically the end of Act 3, Scene 1. So now that Richard has gotten rid of his brothers, he's now putting the plans in place to get around his nephews, and he's building a team of allies to help him get around his nephews so that he can become king. It's a lot of plot building and lying and being mischievous and conniving and all of that sort of stuff, and it's kind of fun. Anyway, I will see you tomorrow for more as we figure out how all of these various plots unfold. Mwah.